Yo, what's up, people? I'm your host, Jay Will, and I would like to welcome you to Inspire God's People, where we balance faith and business to guide you to your purpose. Man, what's up? How y'all been doing? Hopefully, everybody's been doing all right. Life is treating you good. I just want to kick it with y'all today, man, about who do you turn to? Like, when life gets rough, when you get confused, when you down and out, when you are conflicted, you know what I'm saying, with things, and how you when you feel differently than you used to feel. As you go through our life, there's always peaks and valleys, ups and downs. And there are sometimes, if we be real, where when things get tough, we allow the wrong people, the wrong voices in our ear. And so, it's a question that I'm going to ask you today, and that's what or who is standing between you and God? We're going to explore this idea today. Hopefully, you're going to walk away feeling encouraged, inspired, and, having the juice that you need to move forward in this life. Thank you so much for joining and listening in. Like, subscribe, all that stuff. If you rock with the podcast, Inspire God's People, doing what we do. So we're going to start off with that simple question. You know, what's standing between you and God? What is standing between you and God? Now, let's first just think about, like, I'm not saying that something is standing between you and God, because maybe you looking at this and you like, fam, I'm good. Like, I have nothing going on. All right, I ain't trying to put that on you. So let's just talk about somebody else. Hypothetically, what could be standing between somebody and God, so that if you ever find yourself in this situation, that you can kind of identify things and maybe prevent, the thing from being a distraction. So starting there, distractions, they come in all shapes and sizes. You feel what I'm saying? And I think in this life, sometimes, if we being honest, we can kind of get comfortable with the distractions to the point that it's something standing between me and God, and I haven't even identified the thing as a distraction, because it's just so much a part of everyday life, whether it be my life or other people's life, that I've kind of accepted and rocked with. You feel what I'm saying? And here's the other thing. This is a big one. Something that could be standing between you and God. Look, is our temptation and our lust. Now, I'm just being real. I don't trust nobody who can admit to themselves that they have some level of temptation in life, some level of lust. It's not always sexual, can be. It can be monetary, could be greed, could be a lot of things. But I don't trust nobody who thinks that they are just above all. Like, oh, I don't struggle in any area. There's nothing that I have to watch out for. I look at recognizing and understanding your temptations and your lust that you deal with in your own life no different than driving on the freeway and looking at the sign that says a deer ahead, right? Like, the reason the sign says deer ahead, at least has a picture of a deer, right? Assuming you know what that means, is because it's happened before. Like, it's been a deer on that road before. And sometimes that's how temptation and lust operate. It's like, oh, it's just understanding in your own life. You know what? Ooh, I recognize that I get kind of weak, or I get distracted when this type of situation is happening, or when I'm in this type of environment. I notice that I'm not quite myself, or whatever. And these are ways, like, the first way for me is, like, if I could be real with myself, that I have things to watch out for, then maybe I can prevent myself from crashing into the deer this next time. Feel what I'm saying? So again, what's next? False teaching. Look, I'm gonna just be real with y'all, man. False teaching is one of those distractions that comes between us and God, that I think a lot of us just, like, we just accept it. And here's the reason why, right? I think we accept it because it's become too difficult for most of us to identify. And so it's like, yo, like, I don't want to be judging everybody. I don't want to call you a wolf or say you a false teacher. So I'm going to just accept everything. And what we do, we say little stuff like this in the world today: your truth. That's your truth. I'm not here to judge you. I don't know where those type of, sayings came from, that kind of talk, but that's just a lie. Your truth can be a lie, bro. Like, so, us adopting all these weird, I think it's about feel good. Like, if I'm being real, if I just sit back and observe, it's like, I think we just start adopting everything that kind of feels good. And we like, yeah, that's the truth. Because it feels better for me to say your truth than your lie, I'ma just say that's your truth, even though it's not the truth. But let's just be real. It's a lot of false teaching out here. And false teaching, I don't just mean biblically. I mean biblically, like people who misuse and abuse the Bible and they don't preach it the right way. So they kind of deliver an incorrect message that can send somebody down the wrong road. But in the most simple terms, bro, like a lot of people on podcasts, just like, a podcast like this, it's a lot of wolves out there. It's a lot of false teaching. I'm gonna give you an example of what I mean by that, because false teaching doesn't always come from a teacher. And here's what I mean. You could have, let's just say, a celebrity on a podcast. And let's say that celebrity is somebody who you like because of their acting, their skill set, their music, whatever performance they do, you feel like they're talented. And that may be the truth, right? But that doesn't qualify that person to speak on other areas of your life. And I'll see people on podcasts or see a clip come across my phone, somebody share a clip. Let's say this celebrity's talking about relationships, and like they whole message, let's say this person is talking about marriage, and they whole thing is like this negative view of marriage and why you shouldn't get married and why you can't trust nobody and you like, well, yeah, because you've been married 4 times and you are living a life that doesn't align with God, and you're trying to figure out why it doesn't work. And instead of you looking inward and saying, yo, what am I doing wrong? You're basically projecting that outward and saying, yo, if I couldn't get it right, it must mean because ain't nobody right. And then you start discouraging people who may be seeking to be married, or people who may be happily married, or whatever it is. And that's an example to me where we've accepted false teaching, we've accepted distractions. It could be a 30-second clip, bro. It could be a little 30-second clip with one of your favorite celebrities, and they could plant a seed in your mind because it's something that's anti the way that God views, whether it be marriage, relationships, life. This happens in so many areas, right? It could relate to anything. Right now, we just still talking about what are the ways that you could be distracted, because I'm asking a question today: what's standing between you and God? And I think some of us have not sat down and asked ourselves that question. Look, we know that there's something there. We know that something feels off. We know that we don't feel like all the way 100 or into God right now. And all this is so much happening in the world, but we haven't sat down to take account and say like, yo, like let me figure out what is it exactly that's standing between me and God? Because God hasn't gone anywhere. And that's the reason I'm framing the question the way I am is because God is there. And sometimes we are, lying to ourselves and making ourselves think God went away and God, why don't I feel God? You've just drawn further away from him. You've allowed something, we've allowed something to create distance between us and the Lord. And so then we start questioning him, and he like, oh no, I'm right here. You just can't hear me no more. Imagine this. Imagine you are, you and a friend go to the mall or a concert, and y'all start off together, and then a crowd comes between y'all for whatever reason. And as that crowd rushes or comes between y'all, you and this friend are further and further apart, can't hear each other, can't see each other no more. But that friend is still there. Like, you're not gonna tell me that they not there just because you can't see them or hear them or feel them anymore. And that's how God is looking at us sometimes. So here's the last example I give of things that could come in between us and God. Politics. Now I know this is a tough one. I've really, just in my own personal time, I've thought a lot about politics and religion and faith and the role that politics is playing in the world today. And look, you may not like my perspective on this, but just take it respectfully, because I don't really get into the this versus that. I'm independent. I'm on God's side. Like, that's the side I'm worried about. But when I look at the role that politics is playing today, I really feel like politics is replacing religion for a lot of people. And I know that sounds weird maybe to say, and maybe you think I'm wrong, and that's cool. Just hear me out. I'm not saying that I'm, my way or the highway. I know everything. Look, challenge me. That's okay. But for me, I think about the role that religion and faith used to play for people, is especially Christians. in America particularly, was like, it was a moral compass. It was something that guided the other behaviors in my life, right? It guided my lifestyle at home. And don't take this to mean, this is where we become extremists. Don't be extreme. Don't take this to mean that I think we were ever perfect. That's not what I'm trying to say. I'm not trying to say that a Christian is perfect or that I've walked perfectly or anything. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is that when you have something as a moral compass, like Christianity in Christ, something that is perfect, something that does represent righteousness, then it becomes that North Star, that thing that you are striving for every day. It's the reason you didn't cuss somebody out yesterday. It's the reason you didn't slap your coworker, is because you had a moral compass that was rooted in Christ. It's also the reason you didn't lose your mind. Like, a lot of us, when we pray or we give our back, and I know we used to give testimony services when I was younger. It's like, thank you, God, for blessing me to be in my right mind. I'm like, hey, y'all, some of us, I don't know, before you pray that prayer, before you get that testimony, you might want to make sure you're in your right mind, buddy. Because some of us today ain't in our right mind. But what am I trying to say? Like, we went from being a society of people that valued having some level of composure in the midst of challenging situations to really a broad society of people that really champions people who crash out. I can't tell you the number of times on social media, especially as it relates to politics, that people applaud someone for literally just losing their mind. And I don't care what side is on that. See, and this is why I also feel that politics is replacing faith for many people, is because most people can only hear you through the lens of Democratic and Republican right now. Like, right now, if I told you I voted for a Democrat, you're gonna turn me off or turn me up. If I told you I voted for a Republican, you're gonna turn me off or turn me up. You're gonna come to all these conclusions about who I am and what you think about me, because you have allowed your politics and the role of politics to become a religion to you. And that, to me, regardless of what side of the aisle you're on, I think that's a very dangerous place to be, because I am a believer that Christ is my compass. Christ is the guide. That's my foundation. That's the point that in which I start filtering through opinions about all these other things that happen in life through politics, whether it be social, financial, economic, whatever it is. It doesn't matter to me. There is no instance to me where Christ takes the back seat. There's no instance, in my opinion, where I say put God aside because we got to solve this issue over here. I'm a believer that when you are a Christian, a follower of Christ, that Christ is the core foundation of your belief system, of your decisions, and your moral compass. And I believe in the world today that Christians, I'm speaking to Christians in particular, we've allowed politics to come in between us and God, to the point that we first make sure something agrees with our politics, and then we'll consider our faith. And how do I know this? Because I see Christians fighting for various reasons with one another because of politics. So we're going to pause that there, because I'm probably going to lose a lot of people just for even mentioning that, because, again, it has become our religion. So now the question, like, now that we've established, hey, here are some things that could come in between me and God, and these are just some things. Of course, there's way more things that could come in between you and the Lord. Then now the question becomes, well, how do I get back on track? Like, if I'm struggling, if I'm guilty of this, like, how do I find my way back to thinking like a believer, right? And following Christ ultimately. And I think the first thing is refocusing on the word and on purpose. And I know that may sound kind of generic, but it's no different than a camera. If I allow this camera to be out of focus, you won't see me as clearly, and it might throw you off, right? Be a little blurry. Like, you ever see somebody, man, blurry pictures? Like, you ever get somebody a phone, you ask them to take a picture, and then you get the phone back and you look and you let them walk away like, oh yeah, look great. And you go right to delete the picture because you like, bro, I don't know what you was looking at, but that's blurry and I'm not using it. And that's kind of how it is sometimes. It's like, yo, a lot of us are living in like, our life is a blurry picture. Like, we don't know what's going on. We can't really tell. We just following whoever, whatever, wherever, whoever, however. just made it. I'm sure at least one of those wasn't a word that I just said. But what's my point? We need to refocus. And sometimes to refocus, it means standing still. I notice a lot of times with the enemy, he wants to keep you on the go, and that's how he keeps you distracted. Some people who just can never sit still, that is sometimes a sign of somebody who is like, bro, like you really need to settle, focus, and hear what God is saying. Because it's really hard to be focused when you're all over the place, right? And so look, refocusing. I want us to remember that input influences output. What I mean by that is kind of like the example I said earlier, where it's so easy nowadays to be listening to a toxic podcast and you haven't even realized it's toxic. It's just, and it might be a happy podcast, but it's happy in sin. It's just continually talking about and affirming things that are anti the way the Lord has taught us to think about them. Things like relationships, marriage, business, just again, our character, how we treat other people, the idea of like, this this territorial mindset of like, yo, you could be a Christian and I'm a Christian, but if you from this side of the tracks, then I view you this way. And like the blood of Christ ain't even strong enough to bond us anymore because we've raised our politics above that. And so I just think that we got to understand that the things we allow to be spoken to us and the things that we accept, even when we hear them, they're going to influence the output. They're going to influence who we are and the product that we put out into the world, the person that we are. And some of us are walking around, if we be honest, and it's like, bro, I'm not even acting like a Christian no more because I'm so caught up into these other things that don't have nothing to do with God, right? And sometimes it's because I don't trust God anymore. And a lot of us are trying to solve God problems ourselves because we feel that we are better fit and better suited to solve the problem than God is. And that's why we stopped praying, and we started, crashing out because we think the crash out is in some type of way more effective in producing some level of result. And maybe in the short term, you feel like that's a victory, but in the long term, I don't think it's good for us. All right, so moving on. Just keep in mind, this could look different for different people. So as we talk about how to get back on track, I don't want to try to paint the picture that there's a one size fits all, right? Like, these are just some ideas and some things that I think about in my own life and some things that I'm sharing that might help you. But I'm not saying these are the only ways to think about getting back on track, right? The way that I think of it is remixing your life. When I think about getting back on track, I think about like there's all this noise in the world, and when you mix in music, it's like you got the drums, you got the piano, you got the vocals, and a great song has a good mix on it, and it just means that things are at the right level. So you don't want the drums too loud because it could be distracting. You don't want the piano too loud and you can't hear the vocals. You really want this nice blend. And sometimes in our lives, I think we allow our lives to be like a bad mix. Like we allowing these voices over here to be so loud, and we've turned down the voice of God. We've turned down the influence of the Bible and our faith, and we've turned up the influence of the world. And we just need a remix. Like we just need a proper mix. You get what I'm saying? So it might mean going in there and looking at your own life and saying, yo, I need to turn down some of these distractions. What can that look like? That might look like, hey, you know what? I've allowed myself to start scrolling Instagram first thing in the morning for 35 minutes every day. And that's a lot of distractions. That is a lot of distractions. 5 minutes in scrolling social media, and you could just be subject to all type of craziness. So what's the point I'm making? In that scenario, a person might say, you know what? The Lord is leading me to turn down the volume of Instagram in my life. And maybe I need to limit myself to, instead of 35 minutes first thing in the morning, I need to limit myself to 35 minutes a day. And some people might say, I might need to get off here for a week or 2 days or whatever. Look, it's no one size fits all. That's for you and God, you to take to the Lord to figure out. But here's what I do know. I do know that there's so many voices out here today that if you're not remixing, if you're not even sitting down to consider what voices am I allowing to ring loud in my life, that you might be acting a certain way and may not even know it. So we need to turn down the distractions and turn up the Lord, turn up the word of God, turn up the faith, right? We need to be proactive. I think we've allowed ourselves to become a reactive society. And some of that is because of social media. What happens? Every day you wake up, there's a million things going on. And if something crazy enough happens, good or bad, then everybody on social media will be reacting to the same video. And so this thing had to happen for me to react to it. And a lot of us are living our lives just in a reactive mindset. And for me, I'm a proactive person, and I'm gonna be transparent. Like I've for me, I remember when I first started this podcast, like I have so many proactive topics and things that we talked about. An example is AI. I remember I've done one or two, I think I've done 2 episodes on AI maybe 2 years ago before AI was like really blowing up, year and a half, 2 years, whatever it may be. And then I remember shortly a month after that, it was crazy, like AI, Chat GBT launched or whatever, it became popular. Maybe it was out before then. But my point is, I'd always value being proactive, because I think that's when I'm hearing from the Lord, is when I'm proactive. Being reactive for me, or trying to create a channel that's based on video reactions. And I'm not dogging nobody that does that, but for me, it's not the mindset I like to live my life in, because it means I have to follow something first to be something. And I just don't like that mindset. Like I need something else to happen. And then my whole life is just reacting to everything. And again, I don't want to be too harsh with sounding harsh, like I'm judging people that are doing reaction videos or something. That's not the thing. It's that's a mindset that I think we've turned up too much, and we need to turn the volume down on being reactive and start seeking the Lord and saying, how do you want me to proactively go about things in this life? Because I think at the end of the day, it comes down to reconnecting with the Father. And it's really hard to do that if you got all these things standing between you and God. Here's where I kind of want to wrap this up at. Real life matters. And I know it's tough because social media is a place where I'm talking to you right now, right? So I like social media. I do generally like social media. Got to say it slow to make sure I'm not lying. I do like it, but it also is a challenge to me because I think it's become so dominant in our lives that we don't actually value real life as much as we used to. In fact, I've made this argument before on the show, that people without even knowing it have placed more value on their digital life, social media, online, than they do in reality. And I don't want to go too far down that rabbit hole, but what I will say is that, actions speak louder than words, right? You got people that just put way more effort into who they are online, how they come across online. We become slaves to the algorithm. Like whatever the algorithms say we got to do to reach more people, we do it. All right, I got to put out 5 videos a day. They got to be 30 seconds long and this, and this. And look, I'm just as guilty as anyone else. I've played that game. I've tried to. But for me, at the end of the day, I realized, like, look, real life matters way more than all this stuff. And the more that I focus on my real life, and the more I focus on really developing as a person and growing in my real life, honestly, the less necessary it is for me to try to act like anything online. You could think whatever you want to think at the end of the day. And I think that's not to say that that's like some self-righteous way that we all should be thinking. It's just, what I'm saying is that it's my way of saying my real life is more valuable, and I'm going to continue to protect the value of my real life. Now, I'm not living in a stone age and don't realize that social media has a place in the world and is not going backwards. It's going to be more and more relevant and, digital and online. But I also understand the challenges that come with the digital reality. And the more that our value becomes more focused on that, the more it blurs the lines and even puts us at risk in our regular life. I'll give this example. When you think about AI is interesting to me because, and I'm not going to go too deep in it, but I've done a whole podcast on AI, like I said, a year and a half ago. It's very interesting to me because I think the more we lean into AI, the more we get to a point where you actually don't even know what's real and what's fake. Like, I've seen videos of Michael Jackson, Elvis, and Tupac at the gas station. Like, And yeah, like you talking about early stage AI, like very early stage still, and they pretty much look real. Like, and so then I've also seen like AI versions of real people saying or doing stuff that they didn't actually say or do. So imagine like how many bad ways that can be used. Like imagine how dangerous that is when, especially for people who put so much value on digital life, or for people who are so distracted, so easily controlled by a 30-second video clip of what someone said or something that happened, when it's like, bro, you don't even know if that happened. Somebody could have edited that. But we started to base our lives so much on what happens online. The last thing I'll say about that, going back to politics for a second, this is a very interesting thing to me. If I base my real life based on what I see online, then I would think in real life we was throwing grenades, World War III, like a white person and a black person can't be in the same room, a Democrat and a Republican or whatever. Like online, what I've noticed is that the most extreme people have the loudest voices. I also think that's dangerous, but I'm not going to go into it. But if you just go out and live in real life, you'll realize like, oh, you could be white and black, or you could be Asian and Indian, or Democrat, Republican, Christian and Hindu, and be in a room together and be super pleasant and have zero tension, like none at all. When you go out, I travel quite a bit. You go out and you live in the world and you travel and you realize like there's a lot of cool people in the world, like regardless of all these little categories that we all want to act like we perfectly fit in, when basically everybody's lying and fronting because nobody fits perfectly in them. And like for a fact, I know that people are fronting. So at least I can't say that like everybody's fronting. I shouldn't say that like a fact, but that's how I feel. I feel strongly, and I do know for a fact that at least some people are fronting and playing a role online. Even politicians, they play roles to get things done, but these people don't really believe some of the stuff they say on either side. And we allow that stuff to be so much of our reality that me and you gonna fight each other over something that some person that we don't even know said to some other person we don't know online, or on a video, or on CNN or Fox News. Bro, I'm not about to fight you because of what they said. Like it doesn't actually make sense. And last thing I'm gonna end with there is that one of the most beautiful things about being a follower of Jesus to me is that he doesn't force you to follow him. You have to accept what he gave, the gift he gave, but he doesn't force you to. And I think all of us could take notes from that in the world today. As I look around and we're all forcing our opinions and our politics and our views of the world on other people, and we've allowed the enemy to be the strongest voice, the enemy that has a voice that basically says, if you don't believe what I believe, or you don't do what I do, then you're the evil one. And it's so forceful, and it's so like intellectually and logically weak, such a weak position, but it works on people because we've become so emotionally driven. I say all that to say there's a lot of things that could be standing between you, myself, and the Lord. And I'm hoping and praying that today has at least made you think just a little bit about taking a step back and detoxing and eliminating distractions in your own life, whatever that might look like. And also turning down the voices that are ungodly and turning up the godly voices. And again, this isn't about one size fits all. This is about you and God. This is a personal walk. This is a personal decision. But, I would just hope to encourage and inspire you to be your own person. Don't allow the world to define you, and don't allow people to force you to be a way that you don't even know why. Like, why is that the way to be? Like people have gotten to a point where they think they could just tell us who to be and it doesn't even have to make sense to us. I should just do it because the whole crowd is doing this. I should just do this because of basically peer pressure. Come on, we learned about peer pressure in elementary school. You don't just smoke a cigarette in the third grade because everybody else smoking a cigarette, bro. That ain't what you teach your kids. You don't teach your children, hey, when you go to school, whatever the crowd is doing, just blindly follow them, because if everybody's doing it, it must be right. But I feel like that's how we operate as a society now. we think that we could just pressure or bully people into thinking or believing something or taking a certain position. And at the end of the day, we don't even have to explain to them why we think this is the way. Just, hey, we all doing it, follow us. And it's like, I'm just here to tell you, regardless of what all of the politics that you're on, regardless of what you believe, even as a Christian, right? The Bible says study to show yourself approved. Like, as Christians, we can study, we can ask questions. Like, we should be believing because we have actually put in some time and effort and energy, not just because someone said to believe. So even within our faith, we shouldn't just be blindly believing something for no reason, right? But we also shouldn't just be rebels without a cause, being rebellious against the faith just because some 30-second clip of some guy that says something that sounds good, or some girl for that matter says something that sounds good, and we just so easily sway and follow these things. And the Bible does say a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. And I do believe that some of us, because we have this instability, it's hitting us in all areas of our lives. It's not just spiritual, it's financial, it's hitting our relationships, it's hitting us in our job, and some of us don't even understand the value of actually having honor and character and caring about things. We just have become like reckless and emotional and crash outs. And I'm telling you, like, no matter how much like crashing out seems to pay off for people these days, in the long term, having that type of mindset only hurts you. You might think you helping other people. Oh, I told this person, oh, look how, man, that stuff is weird and childish and it doesn't help anyone. Be smart, be wise, be educated, intellectual, be composed, have faith, and most importantly, eliminate any distractions that are standing in the way of you and the Lord. Thank you so much for watching today. Please do like, subscribe, check us out on YouTube, Inspire God's People, and check out my music. Oh, and you know what? I forgot a whole thing. No, we not done yet, bro. I haven't done a podcast in so long. I'm about to cut it off before I even get to look. I wanted to end it. I wanted to do this like song and lyric breakdown, because this concept of what's standing between you and God actually came from my album, my latest project, This Time Is Different. So if you haven't checked out my music, please do check out This Time Is Different by J Will Music. But I'm gonna just spend these last 5 to 6 minutes, let's say 10 minutes of the show, and I'm gonna listen to let you hear 30 seconds of the music, the song, and I'm gonna break down what these lyrics mean. And it all ties into this idea of who do I turn to when things get tough, and what's standing between me and God. Ultimately, when I have a distraction on one side and God on the other, who do I turn to? Do I turn to the distraction and get even more distracted and even more lost? Or do at some point I turn to God? And I just want to say this before I share the music. Regardless of who you are, regardless of what struggles you have in life, what shortcomings you have in life, it is never too late to choose God. It is never too late to choose Christ. It's never too late to choose Jesus. And the thieves on the cross, when Jesus was on that cross, there were two thieves on each side of him. And I think the dynamic and the perspective of like, one decides to choose Christ right there at the end, and one doesn't. And when you think about that dynamic and the importance of that, just that little situation, that's not something that we like talk about a lot. It just shows the mindset of people. We both could be, look, I could be just as guilty and messed up as you, just as sinful as you were. But if I choose Christ, then like I go to heaven with Christ. Like I go down the path of righteousness. And so it doesn't matter what you've done or who you are, but you do have to make that choice to turn to God at some point. It's like, don't be the thief on the cross that was right there with God. Opportunity of a lifetime and couldn't see it. Like, you know how many times some of us like are just, we had a victim mentality and we blame everything on everything in the world for what's happening to us. But sometimes it's like, bro, you ever think about how many times you had the opportunity of a lifetime and you were standing right there and just didn't accept it, just didn't see it? So sometimes we have to open our eyes, right? All right, so let's let me share a little bit of this. Let's go. Share the screen. Rock with this. Thank you for listening so far. All right, what we got? How I want to share this. Let's share it like this. All right. So this song is called Turn To. and it is featuring my brother Darius James and the kids. I say the kids because it's Darius kids and then my niece Tatum. So my nieces and nephew, we got Zoe, Zion, DJ, and Tatum on this song called Turn To, and Darius James, my brother, is on the hook. Let's rock with it. I'm gonna pause and talk about it, I guess, or whatever. But let's kind of listen to this and see what time it is.
You're telling me to get a lot of girls, but won't teach me how to treat one. Calling me a man, but won't teach me how to be one. They taught me how to act like a saint, but won't teach me how to live like one. You're the one I turn to, turn to, turn to. You're the one that I think you're the one I live for, live for, live for. You're the one I turn to, turn to, turn to. You're the one I live for, live for, live for. Too much flexing on.
All right, cool. So let me just say this first. Turn to, got my brother Darius on here. We got the kids on the hook. What the hook is talking about is basically it says they telling me to get money, but won't teach me how to keep some. They telling me to get a lot of girls, but won't teach me how to treat one. Calling me the man, but won't teach me how to be one. They telling me to act like a saint, but won't teach me how to live like one. So the whole idea is that in this world, what I was thinking about when I wrote that hook was in this world, people will tell you how to get money. Yeah, get money. They'll make rap songs about how to get money. It's but nobody teaches you how to get some. How to keep some, because keeping it is in your character. That's in being a good steward. Those are the things you see in the Bible. Not being greedy, having some self-control. So it's don't just tell me how to get money. Tell me how to keep some. They tell you how to get a lot of girls, right? You can find out how to get a lot of girls. It's people encouraging you to be promiscuous left and right. But how many people are teaching you how to keep one? They calling you the man. A lot of the man figuratively. This could be female as well. A lot of us want to be arrogant. We want to be puffed up. We want to do things where everybody praise us. But it's you calling me the man, but you won't teach me how to be one. And then they telling you how to act like a saint, right? We could turn on any Christian song and they could tell you how to act like a Christian, dance like a Christian, talk like a Christian. But who's going to teach me how to live like one? So the idea was Lord, you're the one I turn to. And this song is really about this idea of eliminating the distractions in my life and the voices and all the information around me, and saying Lord, I'm going to turn to you. And in this world today where so many people are turning away from you, and I'm not saying everybody, it's a lot of people turning to God. It's not just me. I'm just sharing the song. I'm gonna turn to you though. Yeah, all right, let's go back. Let's listen a little.
The internet, I ain't into that. Wasted. Too much flexing on the internet, I ain't into that. Wasting time scrolling timelines, you can't get it back. I just say what's on my mind, fine if you ain't feeling it. Screenshot but no reply, I know you was still in it. No coincidence, I'm eating on my own photosynthesis. I'm texting on my phone, a photosynthesis. Communicate.
Okay, cool. All right, let me break some of these lyrics down real quick and I'm gonna be out of here. Too much flexing on the internet, I ain't into that. Wasting time scrolling timelines, you can't get it back. That's pretty simple, right? All this flexing on the internet, not really my style. Like we talked about, all the time you waste on the timeline, you can't get it back. What did I say? Screw, you can't get it back. Man, I don't know what I said. Hold on, bro. That's crazy.
Ain't feeling it. Screenshot but no reply, I know you was still in it. No coincidence, I'm eating on my own.
Screenshot but no reply, I know you was feeling it. No coincidence, I'm eating on my own photosynthesis. It's the idea of we have become our whole relationship with people is just through screenshots, sharing links. Like, we don't know where it came from. We don't know who made it. Like, we just like, and this ain't really a knock. It's just like me sitting back and being like, bro, in the world today, it's people that we haven't called and talked to each other on the phone for 30 minutes, or we haven't gone and grabbed lunch for an hour, but like we just share back and forth. This is a lot of people, so it's nobody in particular. Please, if you see this, don't think it's you. It's everybody. It's family, it's friends, it's whatever, where we just have allowed the internet to be our form of communication. And some of that is cool, and some of it is like, not as much, right? So yeah, let me keep it going for somebody get mad at that.
On photosynthesis, texting on my phone, a photos.
Oh, so I say I'm eating on my own photosynthesis, texting on my phone a photosynthesis. So yeah, this whole idea, like, first, what I'm saying is that I'm not going to be a slave to the timelines, a slave to social media. Like, I'm eating on my own. Photosynthesis, I believe, is like when a plant or something feeds itself. So I'm just saying, like, at the end of the day, a lot of people become slaves to the algorithm because of money, because they like, yo, this is how I make money, or whatever. And a lot of times money is how we allow ourselves to start really like going against our principles and our character and our beliefs easily. And so I'm just saying, like, yo, I'm eating on my own. Like, that just means like I am not gonna allow myself to be a slave to something. I know how to produce finances. I know how to produce things to feed my family, right? And then texting on my phone a photosynthesis, it's like, yo, like that's this whole idea of like a metaphor around like these memes and how we communicate, and also like photosynthesis. Anyway, all right, so let me not get boring with the breakdown of lyrics. I love breaking down lyrics. I'm sorry.
Synthesis, communicating through these memes like a love language. You send, I send, we save it. Don't even know who made it. If we don't talk no more, who fault is that? If you miss my call and never call me back, let's never lose touch. If you go offline, you still exist to me. Family is more than just a pic you see online.
Okay, I got to say this, right? So it's this idea of like we become so accustomed to communicating through memes and things like that. What I'm really trying to say is like, yo, like if you haven't heard from me and I haven't heard from you, like, I still care about you. Like, I care about you in real life. Don't let our only form of communication be social media. And then it's like, we haven't heard from each other. You get what I'm saying? It's like, you matter to me. Hopefully I matter to you more than just become like an AI robot that you just send a meme to and you never even ask how my day was. Or I send you memes and jokes all day. And it's like, bro, I haven't even like said happy birthday for real, or like done something more meaningful. It's about the need for real relationships in the world, and like also not allowing our relationship with God to become just this digital reenactment of how we've allowed ourselves to become with people.
And like and share and comment on it. If you don't know me in real life, then you don't know me. I don't say this to be rude. I mean, this is all cool. I just can't do what they do and remain true. Telling me to get money, but won't teach me how to keep some. They telling me to get a lot of girls, but won't teach me how to treat one.
Yeah. Calling me the man. All right, let's go to the second verse.
But won't teach me how to be.
Let's see what I'm talking about.
All the lust you need is on the screen, bro. Post up, foul, now you shooting free throws. Turn the crowd down, focus on your team. Cool.
Oh yeah, I love this. This is one of my favorite. Shout out to my boy Red that produced the track. All the lust you need is on the screen, bro. Okay. This is where you got to follow me, because we talking about social media and basketball at the same time. People who know me know I love basketball. That was my first love. So sometimes for no reason, I will have a basketball entendre in my music. So on one hand, it's like all the lust you need is on the screen, bro. So you on your phone, you scrolling social media. All right. But then it starts with like screen, bro, like set a screen, right? We're talking about eliminating distractions. So if If you hooping and the enemy, the op is playing defense on you, then your brother, your teammate comes and sets a screen to get that off you. All right. All the lust you need is on the screen, bro. Post up, foul. Now you shooting free throws. Okay. Social media breakdown. Post a file is posting a picture. Post up a picture, free throws, take your shots, people taking shots in the DM, right? So shoot your shot, whatever. So post up file, now you shooting free throws. So remember, this started off with the enemy playing defense, the enemy, all the lust you need is on the screen, bro. On that post up file, now you shooting free throws. So basketball breakdown, post up, file. You set a screen, post up, get the rock, file. Now you shooting free throws. Woo! Okay. I love doing this. I know y'all don't care, but I love it. Post up, file. Now you shooting free throws. What'd I say? Hold on.
All the lust you need is on the screen, bro. Post up, file. Now you shooting free throws. Turn the crowd down, focus on your team. Coach, all I see is all eyes on me.
Okay. Turn the crowd down, focus on your team. When you're shooting free throws in basketball, right? That's when it's a distraction. If you away, they making noise. It's like turn the crowd down, focus on your team. So the entendre there from the other way is like, okay, you online, you scrolling, they posting files, they cute. Oh, don't shoot up. Turn the crowd down. All that noise, all them people, turn that down. Focus on your team, your relationship, your marriage, your life. That's kind of what it's out. And then it says, coach, all I see is all eyes on me. And it's really like that pressure of when you shooting a free throw, right? In basketball, that's that pressure that all eyes are on you. In the world today, social media, all that, and everybody's need for attention, it's that people, when they feel like they're getting attention, can get drawn away. And a lot of times that's what comes up with relationships. That's what comes up in our relationship with God. It's like, yo, I'm just like, I'm allowing myself to get caught up in a world that I shouldn't even be in. All right. So that was the whole breakdown of that first part of that song. And I might leave y'all with that. Let's see what else I say.
So I'm about to walk around in front like I'm the man. I'm about to walk around like I ain't never sinned, like I ain't never lost. Although I had some wins, if I try to keep that image, it would be to my chagrin. Unplugged from the matrix, follow Trinity.
All right, I'm going to say this and I'm going to be out of here. I'm going to just go to that last line. Unplug from the matrix, follow Trinity. Everything before that, I was talking about how you could be walking around fronting and you can allow yourself to get caught up in the fakeness of trying to live up to some image for other people. And then ultimately it's like unplug from the matrix, follow Trinity. The matrix is the social media that we were talking about. It's like unplug from that and follow God. And then in the movie, The Matrix, right? There are times that Neo unplugged when they come from the Matrix. Trinity was his girl, and that's who he was following because she was also kind of like his trainer or his lead when they started off. So it's like unplug from the Matrix, follow Trinity, talking about following Christ and getting away from all these distractions, but also just throwing in what was one of my favorite movies at one time, in The Matrix. So hopefully you've enjoyed this episode. Hopefully you will go and listen to my album, This Time Is Different by J Will Music. And maybe now you will have a deeper appreciation for the song Turn To, but hopefully above all, you are inspired and encouraged to follow God on your walk, eliminate distractions, do what God has called you to do. Thank you so much for watching and listening, and y'all have an amazing, amazing, amazing day. All right. That's what we